Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. It's Inside the IFL, episode 24 of this particular week. Ed Ritter is on vacation, and I'm being joined by Mr. Alan Drum.
How you doing, Doug?
It's that time. It's Inside the IFL. Yeah, let me get this muted on my end because I can't believe I have it up like this, like a damn knuckle face.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell it is. There we go. We replayed all that for everybody who missed it the first time. Well, I want to say this. Tomorrow, everybody knows, is July 4th. So in honor of July 4th, I wanted to do this. See if we can get this pop in here. Let me see where it's at. Okay. Skins a cry of war. Make the ready the. Okay, wait a minute. That's the Mexican national anthem. Shit. Sorry, Ramos.
Oh,
Wait, what? What'd I just do? Was that the Mexican that? God damn it. What am I doing over here? No, man. I screwed that up.
house over there.
I screwed it all up. Damn it, Ramos. I blame him. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We'll do it right now. Oh, wait, I'm getting a commercial. We ought to get paid for this commercial live on our damn air. You know, here we go. We'll do it right. In honor of July 4th and all our Americans, and soldiers, and all that good stuff. We're going to give them some love. All right, I'm losing my mind. All right, anyway. So, happy July 4th Day, buddy, tomorrow. It's one of the reasons why the voting clearly indicated people were down for a quote-unquote bye week this week. So, when the community speaks, I listen. We'll be taking a bye week. So, playbooks will not be due tonight, as people might have thought might have to happen. They will be due on the 10th. So, 1 week from today, as if it's a normal week. You just get the extra week to prepare. So I'm putting that out there so everybody knows. But it leads me to some stuff here that I've been really thinking about. A week without IFL action. Does that sound entertaining to anybody?
No.
It does not. It does not sound entertaining to me at all. Because we were originally, and you know this to be the truth, we were originally going to do what this week? What were we going to do as far as the all-pro football game goes? What were we going to do?
That was next. That was week 9.
Right. What were we going to do is the point.
We were going to have the anniversary game next Sunday.
Right. And that date would be what?
The 16th of July.
So we're going to have that opportunity to do that because I want to somehow figure out how we can have that game take place on that date. So I think we should be okay with doing that. And I think that's still going to be part of the plan. I know that I got questions about that this week. I was like, I don't think that's going to affect anything.
No, it
So I
wouldn't.
think we're still going to be good on that because that's going to be Sunday. So guys will turn in their playbooks for week 8 on the 10th, and those games will take place. So the games that take place on week 8 will be the ones that will reference to that particular game to take place. So just so guys are aware, the week 8 games, because I'm going to be putting that up shortly after we go off the air, the pick 'em, the game of the week for the voting and all that stuff. The game that gets the game of the week will be played on Sunday, which will be the 16th, which is the day the game was released back in 2007. So it was released July 16th, 2007. So our game of the week in week 8, again, will take place on that. And the schedule for week 8 will be as follows. And like I said, we'll be voting on it to see who gets this particular game. This game will be taking place in Legends Field in LA. So you're going to have Baltimore Bulls at the Carolina Pack, the Boston Liberty at the Tampa Bay Stallions, the New York Cobras at the Tokyo Kitsune, and the Arizona Outlaws are at the Philadelphia Flight. One of those games would have the honor of getting that particular game. We can get into those games, but it leads me to what I was saying to you a minute ago. Do we really feel like having a week without any IFL action? Clearly, the answer is no. So I have some equipment over here I need to really test out. So I figured this is the perfect opportunity for me to test this out this week. And what better way to test it out but to give myself the opportunity to test it out multiple times over. So here's hoping that I can get this shit right and do what I got to do. So here's what I'm going to do. If you want to follow along, all you got to do is visit the homepage of the IFL website, iflzone.weebly.com, and you will see the standings. Okay, the standings are simple. They're ranked based on record and head-to-head competition. So right now we have the Outlaws at 6-1, the Flight are 4-3, the Bulls are 4-3, Tokyo is 4-3, Carolina's 3-4, the Cobras are 3-4, the Liberty's 2-5, the Stallions 2-5. Now here's why things are ranked the way they are. The Flight have beat both the Bulls and the Kitsune, thus above them. The Bulls beat the Kitsune, that's why the Bulls are above the Kitsune. The Pack beat the Cobras, so they're above them. And the Liberty beat the Stallions head-to-head, so they get put above them. So, regardless of what we think in the power rankings, which I'll also get to, the official standings are what I just said. So here's what's going to happen this particular week for fun, shits and giggles, and no one has been told this, not a single soul. The only person who knows about this is me. Because I decided on this. Yeah, Ed has no clue either. Chris has no clue. Kyle has no clue. I decided this probably at about 1:30 this afternoon. So 5 minutes ago.
Duck.
I am going to take the game, and I'm going to test my equipment, and here's how I'm going to do it. We are going to, a week early, we're going to honor all pro football, and we are going to run the LA Legends Gauntlet. And what you're going to see is I'm going to run a simulation game between the LA Legends against the Tampa Bay Stallions because they're the bottom of the totem pole. Whoever wins that game will play the Liberty. Whoever wins that game plays the Cobras, and all the way up into the Outlaws, who's the number 1 team in the league right now, to see who can win the LA Legends Gauntlet. So whatever team beats the Legends, the rest of them won't have to play that particular team. These teams will be using their current playbooks that they used for week 6, 7, whatever it was last week, week 7. This is going to be the opportunity for me to run 8 sims for fun, just to see if I can figure out the equipment. Now, don't get your hopes up because I could be an absolute failure and screw everything up, and we won't get to see these games anyway. But if all goes well, I'll learn how this thing works because they got the new equipment going. We'll get it all going, get it all rocking and rolling. So we'll have 8 fun games to go up, and I'll be doing these games throughout the week as my time permits. Hopefully I can put some up live as they're going on. That'd be cool. If not, so be it. And I'm going to do them as often as I can. And I plan on getting every game done before this time next week, just to see. And we'll see who wins the gauntlet, if you will. Another option I had was to let all 8 teams play the Legends, just to see what happens to each team against the Legends. While we're on the air, I have no problem with anybody chiming in on the boards in the chat window of what we're going on now and tell me if they prefer that option instead. And in fact, I might let us go off the air and get some voting and bring this whole thing up on the page, and we'll get some votes. Do you want to have every team play the Legends or the legit gauntlet style rules? Just for shits and giggles, and we'll see what happens with it. Your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I think everybody should just play the Legends. I mean, I think that would be really good because they're the most talented team, and just to see if anybody could just, destroy them. Even though the computer sometimes does some stupid stuff. I have noticed that.
So you're saying you like to see all 8 teams play the Legends?
hmm I'd
All
like
right.
to see who would win the worst and actually could possibly lose to the Legends.
Fair enough. Could be interesting. What the
But
hell?
I would be cool either way.
I like it. I like the opinion. I know we got some guys in the chat right now. I don't know if anybody wants to drop an opinion. I know Alex said it was a nice idea, but I'm not sure which way he likes it. So, but as we wait, I'll let guys know we have I have some stats I've been working on getting updated. I'm going to complete the player stats this week, especially since we're on a bye week. It'll be good to go. But I did have the team stats completed, so I'm going to just give a quick rundown of team stats. We'll go with total offense. Tokyo is number 1 in the league in total offense, followed by Baltimore. Carolina is number 3. Arizona is number 4. New York is 5. Philadelphia is 6. Tampa Bay is 7. And Boston is 8 in total offense. As far as pass offense goes, Baltimore is number 1 in the league. Carolina is 2. Tokyo is 3. New York is 4. Tampa Bay is 5. Arizona is 6. Philadelphia is 7. Boston is 8. And rushing offense, we have Philadelphia 1. Arizona is 2. Tokyo is 3. Baltimore is 4. Carolina is 5. Tampa Bay is 6. New York is 7. And Boston is 8. As I went through those numbers last night, they didn't surprise me too much. So I'm going to get in total defense. The number 1 defense in the league is Arizona. Number 2 is Philadelphia. New York is 3. Tampa Bay is 4. Boston is 5. Carolina is 6. Tokyo is 7. And Baltimore is 8. Pass defense, Arizona is number 1 again. New York is number 2. Carolina is 3. Philadelphia is 4. Boston is 5. Tampa Bay is 6. Baltimore is 7. And Tokyo is 8. And in rush defense, Philadelphia is 1. Arizona is 2. Tampa Bay is 3. Tokyo 4. Carolina 5. Boston is 6. New York is 7. And Baltimore is 8. So those numbers, when you think about where a lot of people say the strength of this league lies, they say it's Arizona, Tokyo, Baltimore. Well, Tokyo is number 1 in offense. Baltimore's number 2. Arizona sits 4 in total offense. When you go to total defense, Arizona is 1. Tokyo 7 and Baltimore's 8. There's last and next to last, the 2 of them, which was eye-opening for me.
Everybody kept on saying that we had the worst defense, worst defense, worst defense. Well, as you see, finally, Carolina is, middle of the pack, but you got your top teams, your top tier offensive teams, their defense is, almost dead last.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. But the thing is, it also shows how strong this league is because if you look at it, the standings right now, you've got your 6th and 5th place teams only a game back of 2nd place.
Right.
So,
my question to you, real quick, though, I got to bring up Philadelphia. When will Philadelphia get put in the same breath as Arizona, Baltimore, and Tokyo?
Philadelphia, right now, they're playing unbelievable football. And I'm surprised nobody has caught on the way they're playing and way they've changed. And as the defensive coordinator, they're going to really have a tough time stopping the way Philadelphia runs that ball and runs that ball and runs that ball. And the way Philadelphia's defense is literally just playing great football. I mean, literally shutting out Boston after they upset a very good Carolina Pack team. I mean, that's unbelievable. 20-0. I
Right.
mean, they give up 35 against Baltimore to try to ride around and just, get their second shutout of the season.
Makes sense.
But I do see Philadelphia might be, teams could be looking at them and like, hey, they're going to eventually catch on. But the thing is, hopefully they can also get a passing game going where they don't have to depend on Northrop all game. Because I did see they finally did get their tight ends more involved this week. So Philadelphia could be a dangerous team in the second half of the season.
Right. Keep talking. I'm enjoying your analysis.
Oh, trust me, I've been following a lot of teams, and this week I really stated it on my individual power rankings. To me, it was very hard to, when I do my power rankings, I do it in an unbiased way, and I do it more of an analysis way. And last week, I really learned my lesson. And as you see this week, we was a completely different team, and I've learned to respect the strengths and weaknesses of teams and not overshadow them. And it's helped me grow more better as an owner.
I get it.
And I've learned a lot of things. I mean, I'm not 100% accurate, which I was totally surprised Tokyo gave up that many points, but Baltimore, they were, close of being in a tie for that last playoff seed. They decided to show up this weekend. It helped them out tremendously, that amazing offense they have.
Don't mind me another time I'm on the air. My kids are acting up. Big shock.
Oh, Lordy.
It drives me insane. They'll be good all day, and then as soon as I'm on the air, they treat me like garbage.
Oh, Lordy.
I have to word it that way because I have no other option but to word it that way.
Alex wants to know, can he join the call?
Oh! We'll get to Alex then.
All right. Yeah, I just saw it. I got my other phone on the chat where I could see everybody's comments.
Right. Yeah, I have the voting type of deal up, so guys know it's on the IFL announcements. I did my best to word it. I'm not a genius when it comes to writing this kind of stuff, so I just put it up so guys have the opportunity to read it, vote on it, pick what they want to do, and we'll see what guys think. So I will take a moment to read it. I wrote this as is. I said the IFL will have a bye week this week, but we'll see some IFL action. And you, the league community, will decide. The LA Legends will play the Tampa Bay Stallions, currently the 8th in the standings. Whoever wins plays the 7th Boston. Or, regardless of whoever wins, all 8 teams will play the Legends, so you decide. Vote 1, winner advances to the next game, or 2, no matter who wins, the Legends get to play all 8 IFL teams. So I brought up both as a vote, and Ramos has already voted on favor of all teams playing the Legends. So we already have one vote in. So there we go.
Yeah, because I'm assuming maybe, if everybody saw, if we have like a gauntlet type of situation, maybe teams could use this as a strategy wise. Like, we got Carolina, they're, right next to Baltimore.
Mhm.
And Carolina could, use that advantage to use in next week.
Indeed.
That's why I'm so favored on, playing the Legends where everybody cannot, have a leg up on somebody. Because
Right.
if you look at it, like if you have, if the computer decides to play stupid, and if you have Tampa Bay, they'll have Boston, and Jack Steinman will have, and Marcus Boast, they'll have a leg up because they get to simulate, something that's not, you know, don't affect their standings, and they'll get to see each other's playbooks from the previous week. So that's why I'm so in favor, of teams just running their playbooks against the Legends.
Right.
I think everybody would be on a even playing ground then.
Right. It'll be how the vote goes down, I think, and we'll have some fun with it. And it should work out. I do want to make a mention. I'm working on a particular program that I've been really pushing for to do. And I've got some people on board who are down for this, and some people who want to be a part of this. Schmitty and the RFL, which is the Relocation Football League, and relocationfootballleague.com. They're in on this. We have not made a full commitment to launch, but I do want to make some mentions. If you plan on running a simulation type league, we want to help you. We want you to join our group, okay? And our group has a name, okay? It's going to be a production, It's going to be a community of teams, if you will. So we went with the Simulation Sports Entertainment Productions. SSE Productions is what we're referred to. Have the logo. Most of you have seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been. So I was in talks with a particular gentleman about getting involved in some wrestling type deals. There's a guy who has a podcast on YouTube. It's called Pillar to Post. I'll get you guys the link if you're interested in that. He plans on running a simulation style wrestling game using WWE 2K, not sure what year. Same concept of what we're doing here in the IFL, and talking about the things that he's doing on the air and what have you. Him and I know each other through Wrestler Unstoppable, which is a Facebook style app where you can go on there and you can do games and what have you. So he's got a YouTube channel out, and like I said, I can get the YouTube channel and everything, but it's called Pillar to Post, and he's committed to joining SSE Productions. So,
that's really good.
So once we get this all worked out, dot some I's and cross some T's, we will have the RFL, we will have the IFL, and we will have whatever he may name this wrestling gig that he plans on doing, part of it. And we'll also be promoting his Pillar to Post podcast that he does, where they talk about pro wrestling, what's happening in real wrestling on TV that you see, along with his particular game that he's doing. So I'm digging the whole idea. So either way, SSE Productions has just grown, and we haven't even started it yet. So, we're just out there talks with some people. So again, if you plan on wanting to do maybe a baseball, hockey, basketball, I don't care what it is, some people are worried about if you can create teams or not create teams, relocate or not relocate, either way, it don't matter. This is a community of gamers who like this style of thing. And the only thing we can do is come together. There's too many leagues out there who want to be the best. Oh, we don't have no interest in partnerships because we're better than you. Oh, or my partnership with you might make you take my viewers, my subscribers, my members. For me in the IFL, I'm going to have 16 teams next season. As long as I have 16 owners to run 16 teams, I personally wouldn't care if all my players are computerly generated names, whatever. Now, I much prefer members, obviously. But if it means guys want to run off to another league to play in a different league for whatever the case may be, that's their choice. And I have nothing against them for making that decision. I support their decision. I'll help them. In fact, let me know what league you're going to. Maybe me and that league can work together and promote one another. And if it gets me no members and it gets them 100, you know what? That's 100 more people who just joined the sim community, and it helps push what we like to do online for fun. Whether it's pushing my individual league or not, it's help pushing the whole concept to where maybe one day, and I mean one day, we might see such a big sim community somewhere that it's getting, worldwide press, and all of us will be a part of what made that happen.
Mm-hmm. Stuff like this, creates, partnerships, and one day they'll finally agree that they need to release a decent football game, even though there's going to be a couple good football games coming up on the console. We need maybe something non-independent.
Right.
And maybe this is the thing that could, push us to the edge.
Yeah, it could be. Every little thing's going to help the whole community. And when I say community, again, I don't mean just ours. I mean the sim community.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, let's put it this way. I'm done taking shit from that big-headed motherfucker. Read between the lines, if you will. We know what we're doing. We're working on things. We're planning on pushing this. We're growing. I mean, we're almost at 80 members in less than 3-4 months. That's amazing. And we did that on our own. I don't give a shit, and I've heard people say, oh, you did this off of someone else's back, or you stole this, or you stole that. If we sucked, if we didn't know what we were doing, nobody's going to come here anyway.
Uh-huh.
They're here because they like what we do. They like what we're putting together. They're appreciative of what we got, and that's why they're here. We've earned everything we've put together for our own work. And I'm happy with the fact that we have the subscribers we got to our channel. It's not an ideal number. Some people think it should be higher or what have you. I'm not sweating it. We've only been doing this for 3-4 months. So
and I would like to congratulate you, Doug and Chris and Ed, on reaching, if everybody didn't notice this, we have reached over 60 subscribers on our games page. I noticed that this weekend, and shout out to you on that.
I appreciate it. As I said, we got over 60 subscribers. Some people say, that's a low number. Yeah, it's a low number, but hell, we're averaging 20 a month. I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Over 20 a month, 80 members in 3 months in the league. I'll take it.
And we've shown we can do a lot of great things. And I'm enjoying the games, every game that we run, too. I mean, you see amazing stuff happening that's unpredictable. Like when I was up 21-3 at halftime, I'm like, I was still not comfortable because, I've seen so many people come back. Fortunately, they wasn't able to do a comeback on us. I didn't feel real comfortable in that game, so I was up 42-10. And that tells you about this league, how exciting it is compared to other sim leagues out there. You never feel safe.
What I like about our games, and I'm going to say this bluntly as I can without sugarcoating shit, because I got to be real with it, because that's all I've ever been is real, which is one of the reasons why I'll create enemies, because it's one of my favorite movie quotes ever. You can't handle the truth. It's the reality of life with human beings in this freaking world. They can't handle the truth. They cry and whine about it. But, I'd rather tell you the truth and hate me than sugarcoat it and you like me. But when you tune into an IFL game, you already know what's going to happen. That's what you have to ask yourself. In other leagues, you tune in and you're like, what's the score going to be? I know it's going to be close because every game is. And the reason why our games aren't always close is because of what we provide. It's because of what we do. It's because of our sliders. It's the way we have things built, and real simple, we allow it to be that way. We don't stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and And I can guarantee everybody, even though when Carolina was up 21-3 at halftime, I mean, I even felt it by, watching the game on YouTube. I wasn't comfortable. I mean, you never can be comfortable with the lead in this league. I've seen plenty of comebacks in this league, and it's more exciting. I mean, it gives you more of a thing to tune in and watch the full game instead of just part of it. That's the most exciting part about this league. Anything can happen.
Now, I want to throw out the power rankings because I want to get into these because I seem to have a habit of forgetting them sometimes.
Yeah.
For the first time ever in voting, I was shocked at the way the votes came in.
Oh, wow.
And when I looked at the votes, looked how the totals came across. I double checked it, triple checked. It's like, wait, did I just see that? Wait. Let me do that one more time. And I just kept checking. What's that? I think he said he'll be right back. I have no clue.
But, I'll be right.
You have the right back. I love messing with him. So, but yeah, the voting on the power rankings.
All right, I'm back.
Was what they should have been. Let's put it that way. I guess that's the way to word it. The power rankings are what they should have been. And the reason why I say that is because our power rankings are an exact replica of the standings almost.
Wow.
I say it almost because there's only one thing that's different. And I'm just going to go through it until, say it how it is, top to bottom for the first time ever. Power rankings came back with Arizona at number 1, Philadelphia 2, Baltimore 3, Tokyo's 4, Carolina's 5, New York 6, Tampa Bay is 7, Boston's 8. But in the standings, Boston is 7 and Tampa Bay's 8 because they won the head-to-head. So, and it was actually kind of close, but that's why I was like, oh, man, for the first time ever, we almost had our exact standings being the exact order of the power rankings. So people are taking into effect who's played who's doing what, who's where. The only thing no one's been sold on yet is Boston's head-to-head win over Tampa Bay. They're still giving Tampa Bay the nod. And I think that's because Tampa Bay's victories have been against better opponents.
Well, the thing is, too, I'm surprised about the bottom 3, to be honest. Because if you look the past 3 weeks, I kind of read a little thing, and I'm going to admit, I mean, 2 people already know, I actually had New York 8th. And here's my reason why. I've looked for the past 2 weeks. And if you look at Tampa Bay, they blew out New York. But they're 7th. And if you look at Boston upset the number 5 team in Carolina, who bounced back this week in a big fashion. And New York, I mean, even though Boston lost this week, they lost to a very hot Philadelphia team, 20-0, in which I'm surprised they passed way more than they should have, in which I believe that might have cost them because Philadelphia is definitely better against the pass than they are the run. And then you got New York the past 2 weeks that have literally got blown out by 2 teams that are ranked 7th and 5th. And that's the reason I gave New York the number 8, and I believe I had Boston actually 7th because they did get shut out this week, and I had Tampa Bay 6th. Because Tampa Bay did play the number 1 team in the league that's only lost 1 game.
They did play Arizona very, very well until late third quarter or so when Arizona started to pull away.
Right, and that game I believe was actually tied at halftime, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was 10-10. It was 10-10 at halftime, and they were shut out in the entire second half.
Right. So they did play one good half of football against the number 1 team in the league.
Right. and it took more than half the third quarter for Arizona really to get clicking. So I mean, they played them well for over 2.5 quarters. Which is another testament to what I'm saying about how Tampa Bay is starting to show up, and their thing, they're just not quite clearing that hump. And I'm not them, so I don't know what they need to do. I have no idea what they need to do for it, but they're getting there.
But I admit, my opinion on the worst team in the league changes every week. Last week I said Baltimore right now could lose out. Well, they finally showed up and, they got in my opinion, upset victory over Tokyo. And I will say that with a grain of salt, upset victory. I mean, I believe those two teams are very similar, what they run and how they play. But this week, I mean, I have New York possibly could be losing out. I mean, they got Tokyo this week. Tokyo, I believe, will bounce back. Well, next week, I believe Tokyo will bounce back. Right now, New York, I mean, when they've gotten blown out, I mean, they've gotten blown out big. I mean, they've not lost these close games like Carolina has. They have been blistered all to pieces by Tampa Bay and Carolina. And right now, they're going to have to, this week, they're going to have to go to the lab and figure out how. Their schedule is getting tough. Like Carolina's, the next 4-5 weeks, they're going to be pretty tough. So,
and I spoke to Taco,
and
and he made the statement to me of what he felt was killing the team, and this has been a common consensus, has been the interceptions. So he said, I'm going to do what I can to avoid these interceptions. And I was like, okay. And then I asked him, I said, can I mention this stuff on the air? He said, sure, I don't care, because if anybody pays attention to our games, they see this anyway. So if you paid attention to the games, you see they did lean a lot more heavy on the run recently. And that was in a way of trying to keep the ball out of the air so much. And at the end, they're not being as effective. So his own words was real simple. We basically need to accept the fact that we're going to throw interceptions and allow them to happen, because without throwing these interceptions, we're getting blown out, which is actually kind of weird when you analyze all that. But the reality of it is, if you look back at the games where they were getting bombed, not getting bombed, but they were in the games, they were throwing 4, 5, 6 interceptions a game. Now they're throwing a couple and they're not in the game. They need to lean on Cody Ewing, King Cannon. They need to lean on that quarterback, let him do his thing, and say, okay, he's throwing to throw interceptions. We know they're coming, but we're still going to live and die by this pass, and we're going to, it's going to take us to the promised land, or we're not going anywhere. Because quite frankly, when they lean on Beakley, they ain't scoring.
Beakley did he did have a nice game. He had over 100 yards. I think I can actually look back and actually got stats for the past week. And if I look, let me see if I got them somewhere. Hold on, Arizona, Tokyo. Okay, is that from this week or is that last week? Okay, he ran 34 times for 144 yards this week. I'm surprised I still got these stats here. But he did run 34 times. And King Cannon actually, he went positive this week. He only had 2 interceptions to 3 touchdowns. But the thing is, they still got blown out 45-24.
Yeah.
So they scored late in that game, and they were down one time at 42-10.
Right.
So they are definitely going to have to live and die by the pass. I mean, they got Drew Ritter and on that gold side. Also, to me, New York's going to have to get their other star receiver in Charlie Hogan more involved. This guy has been singing crickets like crazy. I mean, for the past 3 weeks, he has not won.
I apologize. Alan's breaking up. Don't know what his issue is on that one. So maybe we'll get him back in here.
Because I'm on speaker. But let me see if I can figure this out. On the call. Okay.
Well, Mighty is referred
Can
to.
everybody hear me better?
Not really. But Mighty is referred to New York as the 2000 Rams. He said they throw a ton of picks, but also had a lot of ridiculous amount of big passing plays as well. It's about accurate.
Yeah. Is why
Man, you're breaking up horribly, brother. Horrible breakup.
When you have in there, got to rely on
Breaking up terribly. Holy smokes. And maybe he'll get that fixed. I have no idea. He needs to upgrade his phone probably. I'm just using a little tiny Logitech webcam as a microphone, if you can believe that. Let me see here.
All right. Do I sound better?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I ended the call and, logged back in.
Okay. There you go.
All right. But what I was saying before about New York, this week, I got Slinky Watts more involved. And if you see, he's had maybe one catch for maybe 6, one catch for 4. This week, he had way more catches. Basically, was a major influence. This week, he had way more catches, and he had like 60-some yards and 2 touchdowns.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Alex. We're going over New York, and they're maybe they need to get their players.
Can we just take a bra?
Don't mind me, y'all. I'm just laughing.
I just wanted to run for a while.
Hey, it looks like you got a haircut.
I did.
I need a haircut big time.
Since we got Alex on the call, I want to see what Alex's take on the whole LA Legends gauntlet is. If he'd rather them play each team or the winner advances.
I would rather the winner advance it tournament style.
There you go. If we go that route, which team's the first team to take them out, you think?
I don't know, actually. But one thing's for sure, I've already got a build planned out for my expansion franchise I'm thinking of running.
Huh.
You and Cody Ewing are on the same level right now because he's said, I'm doing everything I can. I'm securing one of those franchises. You've been saying the same thing. He's already locked down his build for the most part. He's already locked down what he wants to do jersey-wise. So I like it.
Hell, I'm creating a website for it right now.
Holy hell.
Oh, wow.
You're going all out, aren't you?
I think you're still in a line from Doug back in the day.
Yeah.
He's going all out on it. I like it.
I remember that one.
The LA Shark website?
Yep, I remember that one.
Bet. Indeed, that was good stuff. I enjoyed it. Alan, you're killing Mighty. I'm not sure why, but he says you're killing me.
Why am I killing him? Oh, when I do this,
When you do what?
this.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Please turn that off.
What he meant. I think everybody likes to look at the new alternate logo for next season. So, what's everybody's intake on the logo for next season? Surprising? Or not so much?
Well, I don't know.
You seen the new logo for next season?
Yes, I did. I know you
And I
have
try
that
to give.
logo you're using now on this podcast. Obviously, that's a logo you won't be able to use in the game.
Right, but I thought it would be good, and I decided to use the little wolf on the little Slack thing as my little Q instead of the pack logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found that logo. I thought it looked kind of similar, kind of like the Ottawa Senator. It's got the reverse side, so I thought it looked kind of similar.
Yeah, custom logos is the only thing we'd have had if we'd moved to NCAA. He's talking about your bad connection. If we'd have moved to NCAA, you could actually use that logo, even though it says trademark on it, so maybe not.
Well,
But
come on,
either way.
everybody's using this. Yeah, everybody's using these weird logos on the NCAA. I mean, they basically copied a lot of teams.
Oh, is he gone again?
It's so weird.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna pop out the equipment here today. We'll see if I can run a Legends versus Stallion game, get it recorded, and then of course I'm gonna wait, see what everybody thinks, and see what they want to do. If we let the winner advance or the Legends just keep playing everybody. I'm interested in it both ways. I like the idea of the Legends playing everybody because it's just a matter of, okay, who can beat them the worst or who's going to lose to them the worst, things of that scenario. And the continuation thing, it's classic gauntlet rules. Who's the best of the best throughout the gauntlet, which can make things interesting. The only drawback I have of the gauntlet style rules is this, and this might, make people think differently on how they want to vote. It's an extra game that you get to play against a fellow IFL team that might let you scout against them that you probably shouldn't have had the opportunity to use. That's the only drawback, but I'm good with it either way.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting here looking at the Legends jersey, or not the Legends, the Stallions jersey, and I'm trying to figure out why they went with white names. I just now realized that. They're wearing purple and yellow, but the names on the back of their yellow jerseys are white.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they purple? Interesting.
You might want to ask Jack Simon on that one. I just figured it out. We've been on the air for almost an hour now, and we have not recapped week 7.
Do we really want to recap week 7? Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
We want to recap this week 7. All right. We'll get into a recap of week 7 here in just a second.
Sorry, guys, just getting crap set up for my website.
Well, week 7, first game we'll get into was the Philadelphia Flight. They had a 20-0 shutout of Boston. And Davis mentioned it to the community, and it was something that stood out. It's the first time in any sim league that any of us have been involved in using this particular platform of all pro football. Now, it could have been done in leagues we're unaware of, but with what we are aware of, it's the first time we've seen one team have 2 shutout victories in a season.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to him. Kudos to that team. I do want to say that Boston, they attempted something a little different this week. I know that they did. My son told me I'm going to try something different, and we want to see if this works because he's still learning. So he has nothing to lose at this point. So he's trying to learn. This craziness is they're still in the playoff hunt, even at 2-5. A victory this week would have been huge for them. So they lose. It sucks for that franchise, but he learned a lot. He told me he learned more from that loss than he did the victory against Carolina, which is going to be good for that franchise going forward. So this week, when Boston gets to go to Tampa Bay, we'll see if they can beat Tampa Bay a second time. So it's going to be an interesting game, and I'm going to call it now. Tampa Bay, Boston, their season rides on that game against each other next week.
Right.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I think if you fall to 2-6, you might as well call it a wrap. It's a 14-game season. The best you can finish is 8-6, and as well as a bunch of these teams are playing, I just honestly can't see an 8-6 team making the playoffs right now. I can see a 9-5 team making it. So honestly, I think both these teams need to win out the season. They need to run the table to make the playoffs, probably. That sounds like a lot to ask, but it might be reality. So again, Philadelphia beats Boston 20-0. Is there anything about that particular game, Alan, you wanted to touch on?
Well, I actually do. I actually mentioned, I believe, Ed, I believe you in private messaging. I'm surprised the way they passed way so much and did not rely on Marcus Allen Bose as they usually do. That's why I believe their downfall was they passed way too much in that game.
I think you found what they tested.
Yeah.
Yeah, he even said it, and I know, again, I get to talk to everybody, and they're not afraid to let things be shared on this podcast because it's obvious to people. They were testing where Servo is good and where Servo is not to go forward. Now they have an idea of where they can use him and where they can't use him for the rest of the season, and they learned a lot out of that game. They already know where they can go with the running game, so now they know both sides of the ball. Now it's just a matter of making it work.
Right.
So, but if you ain't got no other thoughts, we can move on to the next game.
Mm-hmm.
Go right ahead. Arizona visited Tampa Bay, a game that went to halftime 10-10. Arizona comes up and gets 17 unanswered points in the second half to win that game 27-10. And like I said, we mentioned this a minute ago, kudos to Tampa Bay for playing them tough for over 2 quarters, but then they started to fade late. Arizona just did what Arizona does. They're a consistent quality team. They're not flashy. They're not smashing them out. They're not anything, too special. They're just a very solidly put together team, which is what I think makes them very tough to prepare for.
And I also want to mention about this too. I don't know if anybody caught it in the comments. When I was doing stats for that game, I noticed Adrian Friday and their tight end Goodhart, they were shut out that game. They had no catches for no yards. And also, their star receivers, they were held to 30 reception yards.
Yeah, it's speaking of the yards, I'll throw this out now because it's something that caught my eye last when I looked at this. Going over the yardage with Arizona, they gave up 90 passing yards to Tampa Bay. 90, and the week before, Tokyo only managed 203. They've given up 293 passing yards the last 2 weeks. And in rushing, they gave up 106 against Tokyo and 170 against Tampa Bay. And quite frankly, both those numbers seem large to me because the one thing I thought about Arizona, was that I thought all season they've been better against the run. The last 2 weeks, they've stepped up against the pass, and the running defense has been a little eh. So I don't know if there's something they made a change in they want to change back, or if teams are just figuring them out a little bit better. But either way, they're the number 1 ranked defense. That's just the end of the discussion. Number 1 ranked defense for a reason.
And that shows it right there. I mean, when you hold star receivers to 30 yards and Goodhart and Friday basically non-existent, I mean, that shows you that defense is clicking, and it's clicking very good. I mean, the only big reception they basically gave up was to a non-star for like 50-some yards. Besides that, basically, they shut them out.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Any team that shuts out a silver and a gold receiver tied in, they're going to, destroy a team.
Right.
And they're going to definitely, most likely win that game if they hold them to 30 yards on their star receivers.
Right. And throwing out those numbers, we're going to have to give a little bit more credit to Tampa Bay, considering if you're held to just 90 passing yards, and in a sense, they were in the game all day. That's just, again, kudos to them for being in it.
Right.
So big props goes out to Tampa Bay regardless of the defeat. All right, we're going to go into the third game of the night, of the week, what have you. It was the New York Cobras. They visited the Carolina Pack. The Pack comes away with a 45-24 victory. And again, this is a game where New York tried to lean on Beakley more than the passing game, and it backfired on them. And it frustrates me as a fan. What could have New York done against Carolina had they stuck to their typical game plan? Would it have been a closer game? For all we know, it could have been a bigger blowout. We'll never know until y'all play again in Week 14, and we'll see what happens then. But you as the owner of Carolina, big win for you guys. Big victory. You've played well, both sides of the ball. You shut down a very formidable offense, which is now slowly losing that claim of being a formidable offense because they haven't shown much the last couple weeks. They have 34 points the last 2 weeks. 34 points the last 2 weeks. They scored 30 points in Week 5. So 34 points in Week 5 and only 34 in the last 2 weeks just goes to show either they did something different on offense they need to fix, or teams have finally figured them out. And I'm not asking you to reveal anything because now people might learn about you. But looking at this game as a journalist, not as the owner, what is your take on this game?
I would like to do a journalist and an owner because
fair enough.
Well, first, as a journalist, it shows that Carolina really, maybe they finally found more of an explosion of their offense, because I noticed Carolina, slowed down way more than they usually do. They didn't do that fiery offense as they usually do. And it showed, and you can give credits to basically that defense too. That defense for Carolina looked amazing this week. And basically the 2 touchdowns were given in the fourth quarter. And for New York, New York did, I believe, do too much on Beakley as a bronze running back. They noticed that Marcus Allen-Bose had a very good game against Carolina, but when Carolina, didn't score like they usually do in bunches, the defense, caught their breath, and the defense really showed up and, basically shut down the rushing by Beakley. Even though he had 144 yards, he had a very good game.
And that was something you had brought to my attention shortly after the game was over. You messaged me and goes, "You were right," and I'll explain what that meant. I've told Alan because he was doubting his defense from time to time and where it was going. And I told him part of his defense's problem was his own fault of being the offensive coordinator, because Carolina this season, if you watch the games back, they scored quickly sometimes. They'll get the ball and they'll go 80 yards in 5-6 plays. The defense is not getting no time to rest. And the defense makes the other team work. Now they're going to give up, and you guys have the bend but don't break style of defense. You sometimes bend a little more than you'd like, and it keeps you on the field a little longer. But when you're out on the field, letting a team get maybe 10, 12 plays, holding them to a field goal, 10, 12 plays, and they come away scoreless, and you go on the field and you're scoring less than 6 plays, they're right back on the field. They're getting tired. Then they start giving up points. This particular game, the defense was getting some rest because the offense wasn't having those big play scores. Even though he's put up 45 points, a lot of them were very earned long drives. And then you finally got to see what a rested defense looks like for your team. And then you took that step back and you said, damn, they are a lot better than I thought.
Right.
I feel the same thing about Boston's defense. Their offense never lets them guys rest, or they would be better.
And I can as an owner, I can, give kudos to Boston. I really, took out the the bomb plays, and I decided to, give Watts more involved as everybody realized. I mean, Watts had a very good game. He had 4 catches for, I believe, 60 some yards and 2 touchdowns. And that was our main focus this week. I looked with Tampa Bay a little bit, what they did against New York, and I decided, like, it's not our defense that our trouble was. It was our offense, and I decided to, get more Clapper involved. Clapper, he had a lot of carries, and I decided to, when we needed us, when we needed the deep threat, it did perfectly. And even though we had 2 interceptions in that game, our defense bailed us out way too many times. I mean, we even had a pick six to, really blow that game wide open when it was up 21-3 at halftime.
Right.
I mean, I decided, instead of going, high speed on a big lawnmower, I decided to use one of them old fashioned kind and just mow them down that way. And I got to give credit, to Ed. Ed's been a big help this season, and our defense looked amazing. And I mean, we've got to, enjoy the victory for a short while because we're getting ready to run our gauntlet. I mean, we got Baltimore, we got Tokyo, we got Philadelphia, we got Arizona back to back to back to back, and this is the point, we're going to really either be a top tier team or we're going to fall flat on our face. And this week, I always said this week was a major win for us. I mean, we had to get the win. I mean, if we would have lost, we would have been 2 games back from the playoff spot. I mean, we're looking with Baltimore this week, and hopefully we can get a little help. We could, we're only a game back of second place. And that's the place we want to be right now.
Yeah. Well, Maurice just came back from North Carolina. Well, welcome back, Maurice.
Oh, what part did he come from? I wonder.
You wonder? What the hell? I just want to throw out anybody who's chimed in or shows up in the podcast today. They're earning 3 points towards ownership. So, been a few guys in there today that will be getting some points.
Save this and edit it later.
Apparently, Alex is saving something and editing it later, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
I
decided this week to really, I'll be honest. This week, I really started approaching the team. I'm like, I could have went in there like, hey, we got 31 points. They got blown out last week. I could have made no changes. I decided to, approach a team and not look at their final score.
And that's how you should do it.
Right. And I decided to run my own game. This week, I'm going to tell owners. Each week, I don't care if you got blown out 42-0. I'm going to approach you like you won that game. And this week, I really felt like we played our best game of the season. Even though we had 2 interceptions, we showed what we could do in this league. And we could be
2 interceptions, let's be honest. Being honest, 2 interceptions is not too bad considering this league is amazing in defense. So that's respectable.
I agree with that.
But I'm going to move on to the next game that took place this week. And it'll be the 4th and final game of the week. We saw the Tokyo Kitsune travel to Baltimore, and the Bulls came away with a 45-38 victory. Which to me was a huge win for Baltimore because, let's face it, Baltimore had lost 52-34 in Week 6 to Philadelphia. Baltimore had lost 36-23 in Week 5 to Arizona. Baltimore had lost 33-24 to the Stallions in Week 4. They started out 3-0, then dropped 3 straight. This was a must-win game, and they did it against a team that some people thought deserved to be the number 1 ranked team last week in the power rankings. So, I mean, they played extremely, extremely well in that game. And like I said, Baltimore and Tokyo, they both played well offensively. The defense is, not so much. And for those of you who missed the totals, Tokyo put up 542 yards of offense, and Baltimore put up 533. So they combined for 1,075 total yards of offense in that game. That's crazy. So that was the one game this week where it was like, what were you just saying about defenses? Because in that game, it was non-existent.
Yeah.
It just so happened, to be what it was. Huge win. Again, huge win for Baltimore. It keeps them right here in the hunt. It shows, hey, look, we might have had a couple weeks here where we lost, but we're not going anywhere. We're ready to go. And they got a big win, a big game this week because, again, we'll get into week 8, but they're traveling to Carolina. They're playing your pack. And that's a must win, I think, for both teams for obvious reasons, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But either way, great win for TJ, Mighty, and company over there in Baltimore. And Ramos and company in Tokyo, which with their new offensive coordinator, Joey Knight, I believe it is.
Oh, congratulations.
I think I said his name right. I'd like to see him around a little bit more, so they have nothing to shy away from. I mean, they played well. And this week they get to try and bounce back at home against the Cobras. So, but from the Bulls, Tokyo, what was your take?
Well, I'm gonna have to give Alex a little bit. I'm gonna have to give him a props because the way the game was approached and the way everybody's gonna see it, I would see it as a different way. So I'm gonna let Alex run down this game.
What game are we looking at?
Baltimore and Tokyo.
That was probably the tightest game I've ever seen. Like, I'd compare it to like a boxing match where you got like two heavyweight fighters going blow for blow, and you don't know who's gonna knock down the other guy first.
That's a different analysis. I like it.
And the reason I gave Alex the more of a nod is because of the injury to Aaron Maximus, and I cannot be biased. I cannot approach it unbiasedly with, everybody knows how I feel about defensive linemen, and that's the reason I decided to not put my intake on this game because Aaron Maximus did get injured, and if I couldn't even look at it as unbiasedly because to me, everybody, knows how I feel about defensive linemen.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I will not give my intake on this game.
I'll be honest about defensive linemen. I don't think they're needed. I don't like defensive linemen. I don't think they need to be stars. But if you're a defensive guy who can figure out how to use one, they can be nasty.
They can be nasty at times. I mean, you look at Willie Blackheart. I mean, Blackheart did have a few tackles and a sack. I mean, but one game they can have 6 sacks. The next they can look like, they can maybe have a couple tackles. That's it. And, I mean, when you put silver and gold as defensive linemen, I mean, I do want to give this intake. I mean, maybe, a future owner like Alex or King Cannon, you might want to look at a place on your silver and golds and not put a defensive lineman there. You don't want definitely a defensive tackle you do not want because they're very slow and they will go, if you look at the stats, they go very sporadically on defensive tackles and defensive ends. I mean, they're a little faster, but you want to look away from that area on the defensive lineman.
All right, real quick, I got to say this.
That's why in my mock build, I decided to go skilled positions as far as the stars on defense.
There you go. Well, I got to throw this out there to anybody who's listening. If you are a drinker, get out your alcohol, your liquor, whatever it is now. That's it. We have to play the drinking game. Every time Alan says, I want you to take a shot.
That's going to be me tomorrow.
If we'd have been playing it when the show started, half our viewers would be freaking crunked out by now. So we'll see how many of them can get lit before the show goes off the air.
Oh, wow. Is this a flashback from last year?
I mean, maybe.
I remember on Saturday nights, every time I said I mean, I remember that one from last year.
By the way, Marie said Winston-Salem. That's the part of Carolina.
Not too far from me.
So let's get into week 8, which will take place obviously in 2 weeks. The game of the week that week will take place on the 16th, which will be Sunday the 16th, as an honor of when the All-Pro football game was released. Then we'll probably do one game on Friday as well. I'm thinking might be the 14th, and then do 2 games on Saturday, the 15th. I'll still have to get together with Davis on this and figure out exactly what the plan is. He should be home by then. We'll get the games up and ready to go and recorded, or what have you. I might even change the exact date when playbooks are due. I'll leave the owners a message in the window, because maybe if I even have guys get them in before the end of the weekend, it gives them an extra day or two to get things done, because Sunday might be a small bit of a problem for him on Sundays. Again, schedules were done the way they were because it was convenient for him and Cody Prime, who we hope everything's going well with him and family. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We shall see. So moving on to week 8, and again, I'll be putting these games up on Slack for you to vote for game of the week, and also vote for the pick'em. So the first game on the docket, and I'm going to go to you, Alex. I'll give you your chance because Alan's going to be biased for sure. The Baltimore Bulls, who are 4-3, get to travel to the 3-4 Carolina Pack. What's your thoughts?
I'm not sure what to think about this game, to be honest. I mean, you've got two really. This league is basically all about defense and how you
We have a dog.
Forgive me, my
Well, you mentioned it's all about defenses. Carolina's defense is 6th overall, and Baltimore's is 8th.
I'm just saying, I find it funny how the teams that suck at defense are really good on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, that comes hand in hand. When you're a lousy defense and you give up a lot of quick points early, you're getting the ball back a lot to produce more yards.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there.
We use Arizona as a perfect case. Arizona's 6-1. They're 6-1 for a reason. They are the number 1 ranked defense, but they're only 4th in total. And that was because they had to get going. Uh-oh.
So how was the game?
It was okay.
Then you lost?
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro. How you doing?
Deal.
What you doing? IFL?
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'm leaving.
Mighty says it's too early to be drinking. Well, if we're playing the drinking game, we're shit out of luck, aren't we?
Yeah,
All
man.
right, love you, buddy.
Love you.
I gotta go.
I'm going to shoot that dog. Can I do that?
Where,
Can we shoot the dog?
Where were we?
Yeah, I love you.
Oh, man.
I got home in time.
Oh. Well, Alan, I know you're still there, correct?
Yeah, I'm still here, but I believe that dog is trying to say pick the pack. You'd be an idiot. Only 2 people picked us against New York. You'd be an idiot. Go pack, go. I think that's what the dog
Is that what that dog
say.
Wow. Well, give us your journalist opinion on this game, and then you can give us your owner thoughts.
Okay, first for a journalist, Carolina's going to still have their awesome defense. We're playing a way better they're playing a way better offense than New York, and they're going to have to show up and not give up over 50 points to Baltimore is in week 1, and for Baltimore, they're going to have to try to score on that defense. That defense has definitely gotten looking better, and last time when they played
Oh,
New York. I mean, last time when they played Carolina, they gave up 40-some points, and they're going to have to limit that attack. Owner's perspective, we're going to have to keep it up, and people, doubted this last week against New York. Only 2 people, me included, and my quarterback, Dwayne Ritter, voted for us. The rest did not. Hey, keep on giving us the hate. We'll prove y'all wrong. I believe right now, as an owner, I am more confident than ever, and I'm going to approach this game like it's the first round of the playoffs. We're in a major gauntlet this week, and we're starting the toughest portion of our schedule, and we're going to have to start it.
All right.
Right.
Well, fair enough. So we can get into the game too. We're going to move ahead to the next game. We have the 2-5 versus the 2-5. The Boston Liberty are at the Tampa Bay Stallions, and I'll throw these numbers out since we kind of mentioned them on the Bulls and the Pack late. The Boston Liberty come into this game with the 8th seeded offense, the 5th seeded defense, and Tampa Bay comes in with the 7th seeded offense. So this is 7 and 8 on offense, and their defense is number 4. So you got the 7th and 8th offenses against the 4 and 5 defenses, and they're both 2-5. And again, this is a rematch, which we should have mentioned on the other one. And I'll throw these numbers out real quick. Baltimore did beat Carolina 55-45 in week 1. Boston defeated Tampa Bay 20-14 in week 1. So this is the rematch. Both teams are starting to maybe get where they need to be, not quite really where they want to be. Both can't get over the hump. As soon as you think they're there, they get knocked back down. Tampa Bay is the same Tampa Bay. Jax Diamond did his thing, tested some stuff for a couple weeks, removed out all the test plays. They became a stronger team. Boston did well defensively for most of the season, struggled offensively all season, hired themselves a new coordinator, and then instantly they started scoring points and putting up yards. That coordinator tested something last week. They regretted it. So now here we go going into week 8. I think, again, I'll say it again, this is a must-win for both teams. If you lose, you're out of the playoffs, in my opinion.
All right,
so if you want to take it, Alan, give me your thoughts.
Which game we focusing on? Because I had to go get drinks out of the car.
This is Tampa Bay and Boston.
This game could go, in my opinion, either way. I mean, Boston, they approached us, really good. They're going to have to definitely get both involved more, and they're going to have to limit their passing game. As they showed it last week, I mean, Boston had 5 interceptions on Philadelphia, which I believe Philadelphia is a little better than, Tampa Bay on the pass, but still, they're going to have to rely more on what worked against Carolina than what they did against Philadelphia, and they're going to have to build on that. For Tampa Bay is definitely, they're going to be playing a very good defense, and
take a shot.
Tampa Bay, they're going to have to get their star receivers more involved. I mean, when your star receivers get, shut down for 30 yards, even though you only score 10 points, I mean, man, he, led the day. They're going to have to really, they're going to have to get their star receivers involved and try to score on that tremendous defense like, Carolina did. I see this game going, could go either way.
All right. Let me see. Wait a minute. Hold on. What happened here? Somehow Alex got muted. I didn't know he got muted. Alex, don't know why you're muted there. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm good.
There you go. What is your thought on this game?
Both of these, I'm not sure who's going to win this game, to be honest.
That's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I agree because, To be honest, if I had to go for money, it would be so freaking even. But right now, I mean, I'm going to give the edge to Tampa Bay because they did, showed a little bit better than last week. But it would not be surprised. I mean, it's a split decision for me, but I'm gonna give the slightest is maybe a milliliter inch favorite to Tampa Bay because the way they played last week. But it would not be surprised to me if Boston wins this game.
I'm picking Boston. How about that?
See, you pick Boston every week.
I don't know why, but I agree with Alan here.
I do not. All right.
Last week.
We will move on to the third game. Again, these games are all repeats of week one. This was the game that Tokyo was winning. Looked like they had the game well in hand, blew it at the end. So this time, New York Cobras visit Tokyo. Remember, New York won 33-31 in the first week. So here they get to play each other again. To me, New York isn't a must-win. They lost 31-10 in week 6. They lost 45-24 in week 7. Their only win in the last 3 weeks was against the struggling Boston Liberty, 30-6 in week 5. And in week 4, they just escaped a victory, 28-24 over Philadelphia. So this is a game against one of the top teams to most people believe in the league. It's a must-win, really. They're down 3-4. You fall to 3-5 with a loss here. And I've said it earlier in the show, I think a 9-5 team might make the playoffs. I don't think a team with 6 losses is going to make the playoffs in this league. I don't see it. They lose here, they're one game away from missing the playoffs, in my opinion. To me, it's another must-win for a team here as we get down the stretch. Here's what I'm going to say. We'll throw the numbers out here. Offensively, Tokyo is number 1. New York is 5. Defensively, New York is 3, and Tokyo is 7th. So when you look at the stats, they're kind of even. You got the best offense in Tokyo, but they're also next to the last defense. And New York's mid-pack on offense, and they're in the top 3 on defense. So can that number 1 offense penetrate that number 3 defense? I'm sure Mark Chisholm's going to do his thing, especially with the extra bye week to prepare. He might bring a little kink to the repertoire, so to speak, and really work on this team. But end of the day, I 2 straight losses in ugly fashion in a way. I have no choice but to take Tokyo in this one.
I agree. I mean, I'm definitely going to take Tokyo in this game. I mean, I do see New York scoring more, but Tokyo, I mean, the way, Carolina and Tampa Bay, they mow down that daggum defense like a daggum hot willy, and they mow down, and I see Tokyo no problem scoring on New York's defense. But if for New York to have a chance, they're definitely going to have to, change their offensive game plan up and they're even going to have to work on that defense a little bit because Tokyo is no joke on offense. I do see New York scoring a little bit, but game-wise, it's going to be the only way I see it is a close game if New York goes to the lab this week and does some major things, and hopefully, they believe Wilcox will fumble a couple times because that's basically what gave them the victory last game. And week 1, Wilcox fumbled like 2 times, and that's the way New York was able to escape the victory.
How about this game takes 40 points to win? Would that shock you?
I agree.
Alex, you still with us?
Yep.
New York Cobras at Tokyo Kitsune. What you thinking?
I'm thinking if the Cobras can get that offense clicking, the Cobras are going to win. But I'm thinking it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I really feel that it's going to be myself. I think this is a game where it's going to take a lot of points to win. This is going to be an arena-style game, if you will.
I agree
what I feel here.
In fact, I'm even going to give you a prediction on the score.
Okay.
35-28 Tokyo.
Fair enough.
I will go 52-28 Tokyo.
52-28?
Yeah.
Wow. I won't be shocked if both teams get 40 points.
It wouldn't surprise me, but the
'Cause
way
Tokyo's
New York,
defense is
you know,
horrendous.
the way their offense has been struggling right now, I mean, I'm going to go what I know, but I knew this extra week's going to help New York tremendously. But I do see a shootout, but I see Tokyo scored way too much.
Yeah, like I said, New York's no pushover on defense. They got the number 3 defense for a reason. The offense, they've been playing a little too much, trying to avoid the interceptions. They need to go back to where they were and be willing to accept those interceptions. And I think they're going to become formidable again.
Right, but they're going to have to get Hogan involved. I mean, you got to get your start guys involved. I mean, you got a gold receiver. You're going to have to get your gold and silver stars on your offense involved. I mean, Beakley, he does very good in the passing game. I've seen that. They're going to have to get their gold stars involved. Get Ritter involved, and Tokyo does have Braun corners. You're going to have to get your star receivers involved. Ritter cannot be the only have 3 catches for 62 yards. Get him more involved. It don't take that much to get your star receivers involved. And they're going. Both sides are going to. They're going to have to approach it and get their star caliber guys involved. I mean, David Lee, he was looking tremendous. Start of the season. Now he's kind of faded into mediocrity. I mean, even Tokyo, they're going to have to their defense is going to have to step up. Both of these teams, I say they're going to have to make some changes. Tokyo more on the defensive side of the ball on both sides.
Fair enough. All right, we'll get to the last game of the week. And we have a matchup that saw Arizona win in week 1, 37-13, in a very decisive victory. But this particular week, Arizona is on the road. And I'll throw this out there. Arizona's on the road now for the 3rd straight week. They won against Baltimore on the road, lost to Tokyo by 1 on the road, and just beat Tampa Bay on the road. So wait, this is their 4th straight road game. My apologies. 4th straight road game of the season. And this time they travel to Philadelphia. And based on the standings, this is the number 1 team at 6-1, Arizona, against the number 2 team at 4-3 in Philadelphia Flight. And coming into this game, Arizona has the number 4 overall offense. Philadelphia is number 6. So you got that number 4 offense going up against the number 2 defense in Philadelphia. And then you have that number 6 offense in Philadelphia going up against the number 1 ranked defense in the league. That number there stands out to me a lot. When you were the number 6 offense and you were going up against the number 1 defense, and we know they like to run the ball. Okay. We also know Arizona likes to run the ball. This team's matchup as the number 1 rush defense and the number 2 rush defense in the league. So these are the 2 best run defenses in the league, and one team loves to run the ball more than anything else, and the other one doesn't just lean on the run like Philadelphia does, but they do lean on it more than the passing game. They're a little bit more balanced. So who wants to take this one first, because I'll cover it last?
Alex, come on.
Take it first. Speaking
All right, Alex,
from an unbiased perspective, I honestly think this could go into overtime if Philadelphia's not careful. They could get blindsided by Arizona.
The rare overtime prediction. You gave us a score on the other game. What would it be in overtime? What are we looking at here?
I think it's going to be a defensive battle, so I'm going 17-14 Philadelphia in overtime.
All right. What you got there, Alan?
Well, I'm going to approach it as 2 different ways. Is a defensive plan that I've kind of circled around when we play Philadelphia. And if Mario Savage gets to it first, you're going to see a Arizona victory and an Arizona blowout. But if they
don't
do
spill the
not,
plan.
I won't spill the plan. I have seen this one defense, and if Arizona does get to this plan, which they're very smart people. Him and Stevie are very smart. If they get to that plan and get before Carolina does, then Philadelphia, their wagon's going to fall off if people daggum play it that way. But if Arizona does not get to it, which I'm predicting they will not, because the way they did play last week, I do not think the way they gave up the rush offense and man this week. I see it as this way as a more predictable than what I'm hoping they would get to it, because it would give me more of a credit to run this defense against Philadelphia, but I don't see it happening. So I see a very intense game. I don't see an overtime game, but I do see Arizona winning maybe around 10, 13 points.
Interesting. All right. Well, touching on what you said there, I've been sitting back waiting on a team to play Philadelphia a certain way, and I think we're on the same page with that. And I really think if a team finally figures it out, to me, not being, like I'm blowing smoke up people's ass like I'm the man, I see what I think could win this game for a team. And no one's done it yet to Philadelphia. And because they haven't, they've suffered.
Mm.
So that being stated, I also asked myself, if that was used, would the AI be smart enough to fix it? And then would the teams be still good enough to slow them down? Remains to be seen. We haven't witnessed it. The one thing we've learned about all 8 teams this season so far, we're halfway through the season. This is going to be the first game of the second half of the season. The one thing we know is Arizona's by far the most consistent team.
Uh-huh.
They have one loss, and it's by 1 point.
Uh-huh.
One loss by 1 point. Clearly have been the most consistent team all season long. And they're going up against a team. It's just now finding its stride and finding it very well. They're being very tough to beat. They're very, very tough right now. So you can't just say, oh, this is a game Arizona can win. But you also can't say this is a game Philadelphia can win, because Philadelphia has been beaten. Philadelphia has been pummeled. Philadelphia has been blown out. You can't say that about Arizona. But one thing's for sure, if Arizona comes in with the wrong game plan, they're going to get beaten. That's just all there is to it. They have to come in prepared. And to me, that's what this game comes down to. Philadelphia, in my opinion, has to do nothing. Philadelphia has to do nothing, change nothing. This comes down to if Arizona makes the right choices.
Oh, yeah. But like I said, I've got this little chemical X waiting when I play Philadelphia in a week's time. And, me and Chris, we've talked, and I'm like, Chris, I've already figured out what you're doing. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, you already know. And, he's like, it's getting me scared, because it's worrying him somebody's going to eventually catch on, but they've not yet. And it's completely surprised me.
It's kudos to them.
Right.
Philadelphia's done the damn thing, and no one's been able to catch on. And again, it amazes me. But hell, if I'm Chris Davis in Philadelphia, it ain't broke. I ain't fixing it. And right now, it's definitely not broke, because they're a handful.
But I will warn Philadelphia, if I do see it the way I see it, and I'll give this a little information, but in the time being, we're not
reveal information. It's unfair to Philadelphia. Someone else hasn't thought about anything. It ain't fair to give people inside. Let them figure it out on their own.
Oh, I will. I'm not giving any plans, but I've already figured it out. If I played Philadelphia this week, I believe we would win. But I don't know if Mario and Arizona, Mario and Stevie has catched on what I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this offense before, and I'm surprised nobody has caught on to it yet.
Oh, I know what you're talking about here.
I learned this a long time ago.
I think I know who you're referencing here.
My little secret.
Fair enough. To me, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say this. This week, I believe, is when this league starts separating the men from the boys, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I think after this week, because of the Tampa Bay Boston game, somebody's going to be eliminated. I believe they're going to be done. I believe if Arizona wins over Philadelphia, and whoever wins out of the Baltimore games, Tokyo games, we're going to start seeing our separation. If Philadelphia can pull the upset and get the victory, it just puts a whole new spin on where we're at right now. Insane, and that's what the league needs. They need Philadelphia to beat Arizona to tighten things up that much more, because then just maybe going 2-6 doesn't eliminate you.
But
that's where we're at right now, and I just think we're going to start separating people from here on out. We're getting too late in the season. Separation is going to slowly begin starting this week, and I just hope everybody's ready. They bring their A game. They don't take this bye week and use it as nothing but a bye week. This is the week you should use it and analyze, study, practice, prepare, work, and work. We're taking this bye week because some people wanted the time off for the holiday. The holiday is a day. Now I get doing things the day before, the day of, maybe the day after. 7 days in a week. 7 days in a week. I know if I owned a team, I'd be working today on it while I can. Tomorrow I'd take my holiday because that's when most people are doing stuff. If they didn't already. I know my family celebrated the 4th yesterday because everybody works. My wife's at work now. I go to work later. And, I'll work into tomorrow. She works again tomorrow. So our holiday's already over. I would make sure I prepare 100% for week 8. And I already know it. It's going to happen. We're going to have a team, an owner, a coach, put in 2 days of work, if that, on a 14-week stretch, and not put in their due diligence because they're going to take advantage of the bye week to rest and relax. Can't sit on your morals, so to speak. Got to come with it. And we'll see who gets hurt by it.
Yeah, but also too, if I was a team, I would definitely want to be cheerleaders for Carolina and definitely New York this week, because if Arizona's unable to beat Philadelphia, then if you got Carolina and New York pulling the minor upsets, then you got teams 4-4, and you'll be, some of these teams will be like Boston Bay, they'll just be a game back of the playoffs. So you want, these 3 and 4 teams to actually win in week 8. If you're Tampa Bay and Boston.
Mm-hmm. It'll bring everything to a 4-4 tie across the board, is what I'm sure what you were getting at there.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have 4 teams at 4-4 and 5 and 2-6.
I want to throw out a idea for the future here.
Okay, go for it.
How about we have like a IFL combine where we have like you put all the signed up rookies on 2 teams, have those 2 teams play each other so that the owners know exactly who they're getting.
Right. Well, that was something I suggested to the other league. And it's something I've spoke with Ed about. And this is all going to come down to equipment situation on my end or availability of Mr. Davis and how many people are going to be in the draft. Because if we have, say, 6 people signed up to be quote-unquote running backs, 2 teams ain't going to be enough.
Yeah.
But, if we can do it, we plan on putting together quote-unquote college games, if you will, during the off season so people can witness what players look like on the field. So if we have, say, 6 running backs in the draft, you'll see 6 teams and there are 6 running backs, and you'll get an idea of which guy looks good. Now, here's the thing. Everybody gets to have 6 abilities to sign up. And of those 6 abilities, the owners will pick and choose which ones are being used for a particular team build. In these college games, all 6 abilities would be on the players during those games. So you have to make sure you take that into consideration before getting too gaga over a guy. But it's the plan. Whether or not it happens is another question. But we do have something along what you just suggested in the works. So, I want a college league for the IFL. That's my ultimate goal in the end. I want a college version of the IFL. Or we can produce college games where maybe you can see everybody play twice at least. That would be great. And if it only can be once, then it can only be once. But remember, we can only make 8 teams. So we can only make 8 teams, and if that's all we can make, then if we have, say, 10 people wanting to be running backs, quarterbacks, some people are going to be backups on some of those teams because there's nothing else we can do about it, unless we cut the limit up.
Actually, you could create 24, but it would be a long process.
So
there's a way to do it, but it would be like trying to learn like geometry or something like that for you, Doug.
Which was one of my best subjects. So there you go.
Actually,
anything
to be honest, if you wouldn't have chose 16 teams, there would have been a way that you could have ran 12 teams. But I'm not going to try to do rocket scientists to you.
But so we are where we are. We went over week 7. We're prepared for week 8. The voting's up now for the Legends Gauntlet. That we will do on the 16th in honor of the game. Well, not on the 16th, during the bye week. Then on the 16th, we'll honor the release of the game by doing our game of the week that night. And then, like I said, pay attention to the Slack because that's where you're going to see the voting come up for game of the week, the voting for the pick'em. Get some involvement. Again, we're preparing towards ownership, and I was going to touch on this earlier, but we got sidetracked. Future owners will not be voted on. Again, I'll repeat this on every podcast that I can think of. You earn it. Your activity earns you a spot. If you plan on being an owner in this league or would like the opportunity to own a team in this league, you need to be active. It's that simple. If you brought someone into this league and they are inactive, you need to get in their ear and tell them, look, you're not as active over there as maybe you should be. And by the way, you could be an owner. Maybe that'll inspire them. If they don't want to be super active, that's their choice and they're entitled to it. And I'm not sweating it. It's the end of the game. Like I said, I'm not somebody who's big on numbers. I'm not somebody who's big on subscriptions. I'm not somebody who's big on, oh my God, I need to have my views up. That's just not my style. Again, I'm happy with whoever's here that's active is happy. I'm happy. I don't sweat the things. So each podcast, once a week, on the Monday podcast, I'll cover the top 3-point scores. And again, if you're active on Slack, that's scoring points. Alex just suggested something. That scored him some points. Even though it's already part of the plan, he made the suggestion unknowing, so he gets points.
So who's the top 3 this week, Doug?
I'll get to it in a minute. If you comment on videos, I'm talking podcasts. You leave a comment when they're off the air. You leave a comment on the games. You do those things. It gets you points. If you submit me stories for the website, that scores you points. If you attend podcasts like this, you attend broadcasts of the games, they score you points. You retweet when we get on social media. If you're on Facebook, you got to tweet. But remember, when you retweet, you got to tag us so we know you did it, because if you don't tag us, We're not searching your Twitters. If you share our post on Facebook, we automatically get the alert. So that helps. If you get a job with a team, being a coach or a scout, whatever it might be, that's some points. Attend the live games. You be there. That doesn't tell me nothing. You got to comment. Then I see you're there. It's like, okay, there's some points. Share the games when they're happening on the social media. It scores you points. Any of the other kind of ways you think of, I might start dropping points, start using it. And guys have been scoring points since we made this announcement. So as of right now, the top 3 point scorers are as follows. King Cannon has 40 points and is in first place. Alex Dar is in second place with 31 points. These two are running away with the show right now, far and away. They have 40 and 31. Then Mark Chisholm is down in third place with 26 points. The next set of people are in the teens. So no one else is even in the 20s or above except for those 3. But remember, 8 people will get teams. 8 people are going to get teams. So that's how it goes. And King Cannon and Alex Dar, these guys have already plotted team builds. They've already started looking at team names. They've already plotted colors and uniform because they're not playing. They know what's at stake, and they're doing their due diligence to get their team. Since this has been announced, Alex has been all over the place. It's not even funny. Cody has been all over the place. It's not even funny. So the opportunities are there. And eventually somebody's going to become way more active than the next guy because they're just going to get in that groove. Yeah, I want a team. Somebody who doesn't want a team right now is going to want it in a week or two, and they're going to get crazy busy. So that's why you can never slow down. And like I said, we're not awarding teams here. We're not doing biased voting. You earn it. Your activity earns it. So if you want a team, go get it. Simple as that.
And I'll throw this too. Cody, I've noticed him too because even on his social media account, I mean, he's even trying to get an Xbox 360 just to get a team. This dude is pushing, the league towards social media. And I don't know if you've noticed this or not. He's posted everything. And he has been very active. Same for Alex. I've noticed Alex has been pushing some stuff. Get like these 2 gentlemen. If you want a team, copycat them.
Like Cody, he has an old PlayStation 3. I have the PlayStation 3 video game. I've told him if push comes to shove, I would just give him that game. He wants to do what he can try and do to get his health the Xbox 360 because that's what we use for the league so he can get his hands on the editor. He wants to do it the right way. But as he said to me, if push comes to shove, he'll take me up on that offer. And I wish I was a man made of money. I'd buy him one for him, but I know they're not too expensive anymore. You can get them on like eBays and things like that for cheap. So maybe he'll come into something, it'll be great for him personally, and I think if he keeps going in the direction he's going, he's going to be exactly what we need in this league for ownership. Because one thing's for sure, he's going to be around. And the same thing goes for Alex. I think Alex already has the 360, so he's good to go if I'm not mistaken. Alex, you have the 360 in the game, correct?
I do, but I don't use it anymore.
Might be time to break that out and rub off the dust. And because you'll need that once the season comes. Because I know there were some talks this year. Some guys were worried about, we didn't give out roster files, this, that, and the other. What I did was we announced the teams. You know what abilities guys had. The list is available.
That's why I was planning to have my anybody that wants to be on my staff help me with that kind of stuff. Because ironically, I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be as I want to be as hands-on as I possibly can, but to the point where I'm practically giving out orders, but.
But I will say this, though. You really don't need the roster file to have a team. I mean, I've not had a roster file all season, and I feel like I'm in fair game as anyone to prepare for a game as it is.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. Guys were wondering if we were going to give out roster files this year, this, that, and the other. The plan was to do that, but without the abilities, and they'll always be without the abilities. But the one thing that came about was got to get your hands on the editor for one, and number two, the rosters or the players list is there with all abilities, and the amount of money each owner spent on a player is there. So what you have to do is watch him play and say, okay, this player clearly has this, this, or this. So you add those abilities to him when you create your own rosters. And to me, it puts the owners, the staff, the players more hands-on as opposed to us just handing things out. And I did it deliberately this season just to see who wanted to be more hands-on, who wanted to put in their time and the due diligence to do their thing. Some people have been, some people haven't been, and you can see. We've done that thing more than others.
Right.
It's obvious. So I mean, we're good. We're happy with the league. I'm happy with the league. But like I said, we'll try and figure out the whole roster file come next season, especially with 16 teams. There'll obviously have to be 2 files, and what have you. But, and again, if you are interested in a team, get active. If you're one of those people who for a fact you're going to do what you need to do to get a team, we are going to create divisions next season and 2 conferences. As to how the divisions are decided in which conference, like let's just say we go with the classic north, south, east, west. Is the north and the south going to be in one conference and the east and west in the other, or will it be east and north in one, south and west? We have no idea how that's going to happen yet. We don't know which way we want to break it down. I mean, we have Tokyo, who's across the pond. What happens if we put a team in Ireland or a team here or a team there? We don't know where their teams are going to be, so we really can't make a decision on how we want to break things down. For all we know, we might have to have an international division. I don't know.
Like Minneapolis, I mean, they could go east or west.
To me, that's north. So, I mean, there's a lot of options. There's a ton of options. And we got to wait till teams come in. But again, if we decide to go a certain route with the divisions, I want our league to be geographically sound. So if we have 4 teams, say we have a Oregon team, a Vegas team, a California team, and a Colorado team, and then you say, okay, I want to be in Washington, as in the state of Washington. Well, that would give me 5 teams out west. That sucks. Somebody's going to have to relocate somewhere else to make us geographically good. Because I don't want none of that nonsense. I'm just picky like that, so hate me for it. But it's one of the few things I'm actually going to be picky with. So
I was going to ask you
have fun with it.
I was going to ask you this. Now, is certain cities finally, are now off limits?
Say that again.
Like, the 8 cities, like, New York, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, and, all the cities. Are there only going to be 1 team per city next season also?
Not necessarily. I mean, obviously, the more ideal thing would be probably to go that route. But I'm not going to hold it against somebody if they want to go into the same city. I mean, let's face it. You got 2 teams in New York in the NFL. They got 2 teams in LA in the NFL. There's 2 teams in Chicago in Major League Baseball. I'm not going to sweat that. But obviously, it would seem more ideal in different locations.
Right.
Yep.
I'm not going to worry about it either way.
So somebody can come, to Carolina next season. I'm stating the claim Minneapolis, and everybody knows that.
It's going to be fun. Like I said, if you know where you want to be, and you have an idea of where you want to be, let me know. I can start working on some possible lists now. But again, it's going to be first come, first serve. And what I mean by that is let's just take how we have Cody Ewing's number 1, which is King Cannon, and Alex is number 2. And I'm just going to use a random city, off the top of my head, and we're just going to go with, say, Miami. Okay, let's just say that King Cannon goes, I'm putting my team in Miami. And that just so happened to be where Alex was going. If we go with let's split it up and nobody's in the same city, Now Alex would have to pick a new city. That's another, and that's another benefit that's why I said we might make that the rule. That could be another benefit of getting active. You need to get higher in the spots so you can have your team first.
Now,
Yeah.
Now, that's the reason I decided to, already push the relocation where, where teams could understand where I'm going. And if they wanted Carolina, now it's, off the board. That's why I decided, go and pull the trigger.
Yeah, if you relocate from Carolina to Minneapolis, it opens Carolina up to somebody.
Right. And it's already, it's open now because I'm 100% plus Wolfpack next season.
Right. And here's one thing that was asked to me by somebody, and that was because Allen went and did what he did. Some people thought you should have waited to make any kind of announcements because this season wasn't open. But what if one of these new teams want to go to Minneapolis? Are they screwed out of that spot because you were now going to plan on moving there?
Right. That's why I decided to go early.
Sounds like that's a good, fair question to ask.
The reason why is because where I would claim it before, the owners would, decide, if they wanted Minneapolis.
Right.
That's the reason I went on go ahead and pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And I've had some people ask me about colors. I'm going to throw this out there now so people know. I don't care what colors you are. I had one owner say, what about my helmet color, this or that? It might be this team's color. That doesn't matter. There's only so many colors to go around, and if we have 16 teams and 5 of them have white helmets, who gives a shit? They have different logos on them, and the sub color might be different than the other one. So who cares? So if somebody's got white and red and you have white and blue, okay, you both have white helmets, but who gives a shit? Let's just, not worry about it.
Me, by the way.
It is what it is. I also have people asking me about alternate jerseys. I've never been a fan of alternate jerseys. I hate them. I hate the color rush in the NFL. I think it's stupid. People like to talk about making a brand, and this is your brand. Well, your brand is what you are. You don't have 60 different versions of your brand. It's just stupid.
Oregon.
So I've never been a fan of it. I don't like it. But if we can, I'm not a genius when it comes to this thing. If I can figure out how to allow alternate uniforms, I might do it next season. But I'll tell you now, it's not in my agenda because I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I just like you looking like you look. I like turning on an IFL game and I see a team. I'm like, okay, I know who that is. I don't like turning on a game and say, hold on, which team is that this week? Oh, that's this team. They've changed their colors because they're allowed to have one look that's not their team colors. Or, oh, wait, they can alternate their uniform around a little bit. Now they're kind of similar to the next team. That stuff just annoys me. I
will say this on that. I have discussed with Ed about this, and I believe this should be allowed is different. That a lot in high school football. I see it a lot, and also the pros see it a lot.
They broke up. See what a lot?
Different pant colors, like Carolina Pack, for instance. They could wear blue on white instead of blue on blue.
Okay, well, take any team in the league. Take a lot of these teams in the league. They have different pant colors, whether they're home or away. Like I helped Stevie T create the Arizona Outlaws. When they're home, they have gray pants. When they're on the road, they have white pants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. Doesn't bother me.
Right. Different paint colors, I believe, would be all right.
That's absolutely fine by me. If you want to have different pant colors for home or away games. Some people ask me if they could use maybe a lighter gray as their road jersey. I'm actually not against that. But obviously you don't want to use a lighter gray unless it's part of your team colors. And now, like if you're Tampa Bay Stallions and you're purple and yellow, and all of a sudden you have a gray away jersey, well, what kind of sense does that make?
Now, I wouldn't mind if Tampa Bay decided to use a yellow jersey for away.
Even though their home jersey is currently yellow. Yeah.
That one I was talking to you about. I was going to ask you about, maybe that being a away jersey.
Yeah. There's, like I said, we have lots of options. We'll get into that. We got 7 weeks for.
Well, Doug just left us for some reason.
Exactly. What happened to Doug?
I have no idea.
But Doug, I have no idea what happened. If he's part of the recording and we are still going live, are we still on YouTube? Yes, we are. With Alex being live.
Yeah, I think we're still live. I'll double check, but I think we're still live. Yup, we are. We are still live. So anyway, this has been Inside the IFL, and we are done.
The sun goes down, the stars come up. Our universe has never been the same. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came.